I'm Michael Pearson. I'm the director of the Pennsylvania Computer History and Technology Museum. We are a collection of over 250 computers from 1982 or earlier. And we are also known as the Computer Church Museum because we are located in a repurposed church building. This is the oldest computer in our collection. It was created for the United States Navy and was mounted on battleships and cruisers in order to control the guns, the large guns that you see in the pictures of these Navy ships in World War II and World War I. This particular one is called the Mark VI, and the Navy has listed here on the top of it that it is computer. And it takes a look at the ship speed that you're in and the target speed, the ship that you want to bomb and sink. This particular model, because it was mounted on the deck for a reason, once you put in wind speed, how far away that the ship was, what angle your ship is and what angle the enemy ship is, then you would follow the enemy ship with a piece that's now long gone. So we've replicated it here with a scope. And as you turned and followed the enemy ship, it would reset all the settings. Now, where did these settings go? They went down to the gunnery station. This is what controlled the guns. This United States Navy computer has no electricity. It's powered by a simple stroke of turning the handle and winding up a spring. There's even an indicator to warn the sailor that it needs to be rewound before the power runs down. So if we can turn it here, that powers it. And here is a start and stop button. To start this computer, you simply turn here, and even though it's over 100 years old, there still are parts of it that are working. In the 1940s and 1950s, 1960s, even a little bit into the 1970s, the kings of computers were analog computers, not digital. Analog computers use voltage meters in order to show the user what the solution to whatever problem was that they wanted. This particular one is a Heathkit ES400. There are only 3 of these in existence. This is the only one that's actually working. And in fact, we have on the cover of the magazine here from 1959, I believe, a picture of it being used to test airplanes. They would take a computer like this, put it in an airplane, and then put sensors out on the wings. And they're testing a new design. So they want to know, how much is the wing going to flex? Is it going to flex too much and break off? And this voltage meter would read the amount of flexing that was going on in real time. They were very, very fast computers. What you see here are the Donner 3500. There aren't very many of these that are known to exist. We have 2 in our collection here. They're slightly different models. What's interesting here is you can see how they're programmed. They aren't programmed with a flash drive. They aren't programmed with a hard drive. They're programmed with these wires. If you wanted to analyze, maybe the CIA would use a computer like this to break Russian codes. Let's say they wanted to break the Russian Army code. They would put the wires in to break that code. And then they'd have to pull all the wires out and put new wires in if they wanted to break the Russian Navy code. So these were all programmed by using wires, nothing else. Earlier, we saw one of the very large analog computers, the ES400, that's also very rare. Heathkit, who made that computer, also made a number of personal computers. This is the Heathkit H8 digital computer. This is the computing unit here. This is the keyboard, the number board for the computing unit. So we have the computer here. We have some storage here with diskette drives, either horizontal ones or vertical ones. It didn't matter much. And here you have the terminal, so you could look at your, what you were looking at, typing into the computer. This is a kind of unusual storage mechanism. Instead of storing on diskettes, you stored on paper tape. And holes would be punched in this paper tape. You can see the tape would go down here and would be punched depending upon what you programmed, either here or on the monitor. And finally, you have a printer. So that's a lot of mechanisms to put together one computer. And you have a lot more power in your phone now than what you see up here on the shelf. This is what a hard drive disk looked like back in 1976. I believe this one was about 20 megabytes, which isn't very much nowadays. It worked with this computer, the Altair, and then this hard drive machine down here. You can see where the hard drive disk went in, but this computer and this couldn't work by themselves. It needed the controller. So if you wanted to have hard drive storage back in the 1970s, mid-1970s, you needed the computer, the controller, and this very, very large hard drive. Commodore was one of the giant computing companies in the 1970s. They were really a force to be reckoned with. What you see here is a Commodore PET, one of their earliest ones, from 1977. The Commodore PET had a chiclet keyboard, very small, hard to type on, and it also used a fairly common storage unit at the time, which was a cassette tape. Your cassette tape would hold your program rather than a flash drive. And you would put it in like this, and you would play your program. It wasn't very good. The cassette tapes tended to jam, or the tape tended to rip. Now, everything on this floor is from 1979 or before, except for these two. They're from 1981. And the reason that these two Commodores are allowed to be on this floor is that Commodore was made in Westchester, Pennsylvania, just about 10 miles from here. Westchester was the headquarters for the Commodore Computing Company. We mentioned giants in the field. One was, for sure, IBM and their personal computer, their PC. Another was Commodore that we've looked at. And the other one was Apple. Apple was another force to be reckoned with. This is an Apple II Plus. It's from 1979, 2 diskette drives. And next to it, you're going to see an Apple clone. This is a copy of the Apple that was made illegally and against copyright and patent laws. And this was offered by an unknown company. We could find no markings on the outside whatsoever, and no markings on the inside that indicated who made it. So we don't know who made it, but you can see that the Apple II Plus and the clone look very much alike. It was fairly common in this time, in the 1970s and early 80s, that you had companies cloning successful products like the Apple II Plus. In the case here, you see a number of primarily single board computers. These were computers that were aimed at hobbyists in the 1970s, and you can see a number of them. Let's see, here's the OSI, Ohio Scientific Instruments. That's all you got, that one board. And off to the bottom here, you can see a black lead and a red lead. That went to your battery in order to power it. There's no monitor, there's no keyboard. You program everything with the switches at the bottom. Another version of that computer is here. A larger version of a single board computer with a built-in keyboard to make it easier is located here. This is also Ohio Scientific Instruments. Over here, this beautiful blue one is called an ELF-2. This particular one is from England. It includes a power unit, a keyboard, and the computing unit with 4 cards. Here's the kit version of that same computer, the ELF-2. All you got was a single board and the keyboard. Notice that actually is the same thing as what's underneath here in the case. And there is room, if you have the money and the skill to build it, to add on 4 more cards, even 5 more cards to this computer. Up above, we see a Kim 1 that was made in Norristown here in Pennsylvania. The Kim 1 was a very popular computer and led to the company Commodore later on. Over here is the AIM-65, and up top is a Texas Instrument attempt, and you can see it right here, is the computing unit. A lot of different single board computers that hobbyists could get, but they were, it might have been $500, $700, $900, which doesn't sound like that much right now, but these were back in 1975, 77. That's a lot of money for the hobbyist to spend. The Computer Museum is located in a church that's over 250 years old. Aside from the upstairs area main display, also the downstairs area, which was their meeting place, we have used for a library, a storage area, and for some further display of computers into the 1980s. Come on down. Thank you for coming along with us on this tour of the Computer Museum. We can always use volunteers, so feel free to contact us. If you're a student, we have a number of interns. We have interns right now from Westchester University, and that place is great. If you want more information about the Computer Museum, just go to our website. That's thecomputerchurch.org, thecomputerchurch.org. Hopefully we'll see you soon.